We'll start recording. Recording in progress right now.
Yeah, got it.
Uh, so hello everybody. My name's Andrew, and I'm with Brandon. We're from the Yonko LLC, and we have a guest here. And Brandon, I guess I'll let you introduce him.
Yeah, this is Danny Getz, and Danny Getz, you're going to introduce yourself and say all the things you do because I don't want to leave stuff out and have people yell at
All right. Well, I'm Danny Getz, and first and foremost, I guess I make a bunch of podcasts. I produce a couple, and then I'm host of two others, and then I'm also the co-creator and founder and producer for Wasted Robot Records, where we've put out 3 records, and I also make videos and cartoons and all sorts of digital graphics for people and logos and that kind of thing.
Cool. Yeah, and I just wanted to say at the beginning. So I heard Brandon on your podcast, Feel Feelings,
Yes.
and actually, so Brandon was promoting that podcast, and it was the first time that I had listened to it. But and it was a great episode with him. But ever since that, I've been keeping your podcast on the feed and really enjoying the episodes. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
we've really hit a stride, especially in the time since we've had Brandon on. I feel like we've really started figuring out like what the show is and
Uh-huh.
how people perceive it. Because every time Brandon comes on, we have to explain it again. So we we feel like, oh, now we're figuring out how to explain it to people, how to have people come in prepared. So like
It's also just kind of as a side note, it's interesting because I've been listening to your voice for so long, and now that I'm hearing your voice and also seeing your face, it's very interesting to make that connection.
Is this what you expected? I always wonder because
Yeah.
I mean this is all a pandemic look, the long hair,
Mhm.
and I mean the beard's been for forever at this point, but I always wonder if like people expect that, because for me I still kind of am surprised by it that like
Yeah.
I stuck it out this long with this much long hair.
me. Yeah, we have
Well,
to do two things. One,
yeah.
we have to do two things. One, Danny, I'm going to put this on. I need you to see it.
I
I
am
just,
so happy about that.
I,
You'll see over my shoulder here. This is my
That's
mascot
awesome.
representation here. I went to the Mascot Hall of Fame in Whiting, Indiana, and I went looking for Jazz Bear stuff because Jazz Bear is the exact example of chaotic mascot that I love. And the only thing they had was this one last final plush that was available, and I was like, yeah, I guess I'm buying a stuffed animal today.
yeah, that was today. Yesterday, they finally came out for me, and like it was one of those things where I'm like, well, I'm just going to give you back this paycheck. Also, Andrew, second thing, you know what I'm going to say, right?
Say it.
Start that timer. Let's get that timer on.
Did it
Is
start?
it
Oh,
time? Oh,
there we go. Okay.
okay, no, that's always the most tense moment.
Yeah.
So here's
Okay.
something you talked about in our prelude is the difference between your voice and how you look and how people perceive you. Do you think that like how does that affect you, that you like the way you present yourself versus the way you present yourself vocally? And does it like do you think about it?
I don't think about it so much with the recording. I mean, for ours, we don't do video, but
Mhm.
it does kind of cross my mind when I'm going out in public, because I'm still in a window here where I'm seeing people for the first time with it, and I kind of enter with more confidence, I think, because I know I have a thing to talk about. Like even with these people I've known forever, it's been a long time, so that you still need that icebreaker, and it's barely a conversation, but it's a start, and it kind of gets things flowing. So I enter the room with more confidence because I have that in my arsenal now of like, oh, yeah, can you believe this actually happened? I stuck it out for this long.
Well, it's interesting to say that because actually, I was growing my hair out also like during the pandemic, and it was the same thing. Like I had it kind of in a ponytail, and it was actually just a few weeks ago that I finally just cut it, and then like I just ended up going the whole opposite way and like shaving my entire head.
Just pull it back from
Uh,
the front. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Um, but one of the things that Brandon and I talked about at one time, like with the long hair, was that it does it brings out a lot of um, I think biases that people that you haven't noticed in people before. I think.
Yeah. I get I mean, it's usually from the people I expect it from, but it's still
Mhm.
kind of like, really still you're this worried about, like, it's like the sign everywhere a sign, like the
Right.
no long hair freaky people need apply or whatever. I'm like, still? Like still you still think that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So I also, you said you need an icebreaker for people you met. Can you tell me about that?
It's I mean, I'm generally good in social situations outwardly, but inwardly I embody a lot of stress. So I think it surprises people when I say that, but it's a lot of kind of building myself up to the moment when I see people, and then when I see people, the stress just goes away. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to handle this. But it's the kind of the precursor moments of like, how is this going to go? What's going to happen? Am I going to be stupid? And I'm usually stupid. Like
Yeah,
it helps. Like,
I'm
I'm,
stupid. That's my vibe.
yeah,
That's my, that's my thing.
I'm a very smart person. I know that. I always test well, and I'm very good at puzzles. I'm that kind of smart. But like socially, I don't know. So when I can enter with something in mind already, and often it doesn't come up with those people that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing that I have something makes me enter with like a little bit more confidence, because if there's a lull, I know I can fill it with something that's new.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, so Danny, I think from now on, whenever you enter a conversation, you should be like, "Hey, I'm Danny. I'm a puzzle guy," and then people will know. Then they'll immediately know what your vibe is.
I do think that would go a long way for, because I'm very good at kind of sitting in the silences with people, and I think if I told people ahead of time that I was a puzzle person, they'd be like, "Oh, that's just him. Puzzle people aren't good at talking."
I get that. So you've helped release 3 albums, is that right?
Yes, yeah, we've done Michael Brooks. Watch This. We did Che Guerrero. He did A Temporary Summit, and then just this past year we did Dan Getz's One Last Rad Thing.
So can you walk me through what it's like to make an album, especially a comedy album? Those are all comedy albums, we should say.
Yeah, all three are comedy albums. Yes.
So
Um,
walk me through
it's
that.
we've gotten it pretty streamlined. It's me and Silas P, who, if people are listening from the comedy world, he's the guy who runs all the Grape Room stuff in Manayunk, and is like the leading Manayunk comedian. But we've kind of gotten it down to a science now, where we know the guy we're going to hire to record. He's fantastic. He ends up doing most of the work, and our job is just kind of like connecting the dots and putting people in the right places to succeed here. But I mean, we've figured out venues and that kind of stuff that will let us kind of do it the way we want. And then really the hardest part is finding comedians who are ready. And like, we know a lot of comedians who have the time, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're emotionally ready, because for us there's so much that we need to do, kind of the behind the scenes side of things, that the the comic needs to be approaching it with that level of confidence of like, I'm going to do this, and like I can do it. I'm just doing it for to have it for posterity. There's no question about it. I'll be able to like complete the project. And like we've had ones that we've kind of started the conversation and they've fallen away because of that kind of thing. We've had ones where we approached the comic thinking they were ready, and they just emotionally kind of couldn't put themselves in that place yet. And thankfully all these people have done it since. I don't want to name names for whatever reasons,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but like they've gone on to put out very good albums, or at least record albums at this point, and they're they're great. And I've had the opportunity to see the difference in the years in between of like their growth as comedians, where when we asked them to when they actually did it, their confidence level was through the roof. And part of me wants to take credit for it, of like putting the idea in their head of like, no, you're ready for this, like you just have to get yourself there. But that's just me wanting to like toot my own horn. I clearly had very little to do with a lot of it, but I just want to be part of it.
Yeah, be part of it a little bit. Why not?
Yeah.
Build
Yeah.
yourself up some. You can't put it on your resume, but you can put it on your heart, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you said you just need to connect the dots. Can you tell me some of those dots you need to connect?
Well, for most of it, it's kind of finding venue. We usually let the comic book whoever they want for the rest of the show, but we take care of like paying the comics, getting the venue on board, working out the splits with the venue so we can kind of distribute money that way. And we do the audio, we do the video, like all of that stuff is on Sean and I. With, I should say, Wasted Robot Records is the label. I don't remember if I said that in the beginning, but so it's all of the stuff except for the performance is on Sean and I. We take the full brunt of everything, promo, everything, reaching out to like newspapers, radio, TV, all that kind of stuff. And we've had varying degrees of success with that, but like it it's all on us. So like it really is like we've gotten it down to like these things are Sean's job, Silas is Sean, and these things are my job. And like I do a lot of the kind of art and kind of talking to people part, and Sean does a lot of the kind of talking to the venue, the technical side, and like all that stuff.
So I have a question. This is kind of coming from the point of view of like of not really knowing anything from the comedy world. So I don't know if Brandon told you anything about me, but I'm a musician.
Okay.
I do a lot of live performances, have done a lot of recordings. And so I'm curious just because from a recording perspective for a musician, there's a certain approach, when I'm comparing preparation for a recording as opposed to like a live recording, sorry, a live performance as opposed to a recording. It's a different mindset. And I'm just curious, like what kind of mindset would you need to have as a comedian going into a recording?
Well, the first most important is kind of having more than the time, because you're going to want to really hone it and have the mindset of like kind of getting after it like it's a science project, which is kind of counterintuitive to a creative thing. But for like that last month leading up to it, you got to get after it, like trial and error. This joke follows this joke. And if you have that mindset where you can like lock in, and it's only for a short while, up until that kind of home stretch, you can treat it however you want, run the jokes however you want. But like that last stretch, you have to have that kind of killer instinct, lock it in. And then like it's hard to find like opportunities for them to run the hour in full before, but to kind of chunk it out and figure out the pieces and go like this joke works and it works well here, but it might work well here, and like giving yourself opportunities to try it in different orders, and like don't be so precious about it. It's a weird thing to ask of people, because especially the comics we've recorded, where so much of what they do is live in the moment riffs, and like just for right now, you need to kind of put that away. If it happens on the show, it happens on the show. We'll record it. It makes the experience even better. But like you need to know that that hour is set. So it really is just asking them to like kind of have that ability to shift in mindset for just that last kind of home stretch of it.
And I imagine that probably plays into what you're talking about before, the preparation, because since it probably does take a little bit more of a scientific approach, then I imagine it probably does take a little bit of preparation and mental preparation, on the comic side, getting ready for that.
Yeah. And like we've had the benefit, like when we did the first one, I had a show that was like just a suburb show. It was kind of it was hit and miss crowd wise, but it was a place where I could give my friends chances to run full hours. Like I had it set up like the typical club setup of like 2 shorter openers and an hour headliner. And because I had that for the first one, I was able to the week before give the guy an hour to just run it. And then after that, we were able to sit down and go like, now what if we put this here and like switch this to here? And then of course in the last week, just how good Mike was, he wrote like 2 new jokes that ended up being like the first 2 tracks on the album, and just absolutely crushed. And I was like, yeah, okay, we picked the right guy for the first one. And then for Che, we had the benefit, we did it at Punchline, and we had 2 nights. So the first night was just kind of getting the jitters out, and then the second night was just it. So like when you do 2 nights, you have the option of kind of like the joke went better this night, I'll use that one, and like kind of swapping them in and out on the album. For his, it was all one show. I think there was one track that we used just because I don't think he told it on the second night. So we were to just like pull one joke from the other one and just drop it in there. But like it was, we were able to, it's having the opportunity to sit down after running it once and be like,
Mhm.
here's what worked, don't change anything there, and here's what you need to just kind of really focus on. And then for Meg, I had the benefit of she's my girlfriend, and we live together, so that one was probably the most kind of intensive because we were just constantly working on it, especially coming out of the pandemic where the opportunities to do it were very minimal.
Yeah.
So like it was a lot of kind of offstage work on that one, and just kind of like, we're gonna try it. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. We're all rusty. Me and Sean were rusty. Our sound guy was rusty, but like it went perfectly. We sold out Grape Room, more than sold out, because we we let a lot of our friends come in after the tickets were sold out. But like, which was always a concerning thought, but thankfully not a super spreader or anything like that.
So in our last 2 minutes, can you tell me a little bit about distribution, like how to say it and stuff?
What distribution? Is
Ooh,
that it?
yeah, there we go.
All right. So it's actually, I mean, I don't remember that process so much because it was all set with the first one. And then we use the same DistroKid company that we've done, and we have an account. So like every new one we've done, we just kind of add it to the account and it puts it out everywhere for us. But I mean, I remember the first one. It was so much research and looking at all these, like, is it aggregators or whatever they're called? I think that's what they're called,
Hmm.
where you can put it in one place and it'll put it out everywhere else for you. And like we landed on the one, and now we're just done. So like there's probably ones that have come along or have like better deals than what we have, but like we're just sticking with it. So
You do physical copies as well, though.
yeah, for the first one we did CDs
Hmm.
because Mike was on the road a lot and he wanted to have kind of stuff to sell. And then for Jay, he just wanted to do album cards. So we have little kind of like credit card size download cards, and then that worked so well. And like the cost to make them and then what you can sell them for is significantly different. So we did that for Megs also. So
This is this hard part where you got to look at the clock next time, man. You can't end on 30 seconds. You got to push it towards the 30-second ending because you have to keep talking. We can't just sit and look at each other and talk.
well, see, I thought you had more to ask. I mean, we do. I've always wanted to do vinyl, but we didn't have the demand.
Oh, there we go. That's the way to finish it. There we go.
You nailed it.
Awesome.
You have anything you want to plug at the end of this?
I mean, I got 2 podcasts that I host. I have Feel Feelings and I have Blanket and Covers, which, I mean, Feel Feelings, we talked about it a little bit. We pick one emotion each episode, and then kind of that's the prompt for conversation on each episode. And we're 120 some episodes in, so the emotions are getting more and more either the same, just synonyms, or I've never heard this word before in my life. But I also have Blanket and Covers, where we're expanding it now. In the 2 seasons that are out, we would pick a band or a song, and we would just listen to as many available covers of that song or that band, and then kind of use that to tell the story of the song or the band. But this coming season actually will be out by the end of August here. I think we're starting it up, and we're going to go bi-weekly instead of an 8-week season. So we're just going to go bi-weekly until we run out of steam. But we are adding like tribute albums and kind of cover albums and like all that kind of stuff, and doing reviews and that stuff. But also, yeah, the whole Wasted Robot network, wastedrobotrecords.com. There's a bunch of podcasts on there, Real Chills and Get in the Garage and all this.
Cool. Thank you very much for being on, Danny.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun talking with you. I'm glad to finally put a face to the voice.
Yeah.
A long-haired face to the voice, you freaky
Oh,
hippie.
I should show. There's a lot.
Oh
right
yeah.
there.
There we go. Well,
I
and you
re-
also, so when you, I mean, you've got a nice ponytail and you've got a nice head of hair. So I had a ponytail, but as you can see, I'm balding here. So it's, yours looks much nicer than mine did.
I mean, I like that though. That's a vibe. That's a whole person. Like if I saw that in a cartoon, I'd be like, I know who that is.
Yeah, we
Yep.
know you play guitar real good just by looking
Yeah,
at you.
exactly. Yeah.